Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Rupp.
Here.
Mr. Meyerholtz.
Here.
Mrs. Susser.
Here.
Mrs. Patel.
Here.
Ms. Kowski.
Need a motion
To excuse Mr. Warner.
So moved. Second.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? There's no additions or corrections. Motion to read.
So moved.
I got first, second.
Second.
Did I do a roll call right?
Yep.
Okay, Mrs. Rupp.
You already did it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you're good. You're good.
All right.
Rick.
Yeah, well, you know, all in favor, say aye for the approval of the minutes. All opposed? All right. Anybody have any additions or for the agenda?
I would like to discuss. I don't know where we're gonna put it at. A speaker for the safety meeting. Next.
Okay.
Meeting.
You would just put it on, we'll put it on miscellaneous business.
Okay.
Somebody else? Did it change anything? All right. Full business liaisons to the board. Put down in a thing or fiscal officer report. If anybody had a chance to look at that. Pros and cons. So. Does anybody want to talk about that as far as?
What did cemetery say? They were 50-50?
I was gonna say it's also an admin meeting too, and cemetery notes.
I thought I read it somewhere else.
You want to just take it back to this?
And then the after our report.
Okay. We'll move that to after report. Sounds good. Reports I have, you not saying? Nothing at all, so. Anything for me? Okay. Now we'll go back to the fiscal officer report. I had it drawn up anyway, so.
I'm going to be attending the local government officials conference at the end of the month. I'll be leaving the 26th and then I'll be back on the 28th. The conference is $250 and then there's an overnight stay because it's a 2-day conference. That is $495.85 and I plan on, I think there's a way to get the tax fees removed, so I'm gonna try and get those removed
What at the hotel?
at the hotel, yeah.
They set it up there. They should have had it.
Well, because I waited too long to
Oh,
register, I don't have the super low discount on the hotel room, so.
He was gonna bring it up the administrative process a couple of times, but
Yep, we didn't get a chance to,
distracted, so-
so I just went and booked it and, I mean, we have the budget for this stuff. I just used the whole thing for this, so. Let's see what else I got. Newsletters done and should be in mailboxes this week. The copy shop did that. There should be a bill in the folder for it. Mulch will be installed by Renewed Outdoors for that Wood County Park District grant. plan on starting in the next couple of weeks. They don't have an exact date confirmed. They initially planned for April 1st, but thought it might be sooner, but that's like next weekend. So it might be after that, I would say.
Do they need direction as to what needs to be done, or do they?
They already have all that. That was all part of the, in their quote for that grant that we submitted. And then you all probably saw the reach alert quote in that folder. It was an increase of $250, and I'm pretty sure we only budgeted $950. So we probably have to discuss how we want to proceed. We currently have 358 users, and 30% of those messages are going undelivered or unread. That's all I got.
And this is a new, I didn't get to see that, but this is a addition to the contract, or is this?
That's our annual fee.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that
so they
would,
went up.
so when is that effective? Just so,
May.
and so if we pay this, it'll go all the way up to next May.
Yep.
So, okay. I just know there's talk about a different program, which we move forward on
What
this.
does bring our total to for regional, if it goes up.
16,
For
sorry, 1161.
1161.
So basically 250 users, if 30% aren't getting delivered.
It's all a waste of money.
They have anything else for Bethany?
With that,
He needs to have action on that, correct?
Are we
Yeah.
gonna move it to a committee?
I don't know if we have,
We have to make a decision by May. We have
Or
one.
before May, because,
Before May.
yeah.
That bill due. I didn't see the date.
It's probably in
The front.
we're probably have to move it to administrative process. We have time to have a second meeting.
Do we really need to move it to committee?
I don't know.
I mean,
we didn't.
May 1st,
First time that we did it.
May 1st is when we have to make our decision.
before then, because it's, I have to be able to call them before that to stop the pay, because it's that's kind of stuff on auto pay, so.
Right.
continue it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we can shop around.
We have a motion on the floor to discontinue the contract for first and then a second.
Comment?
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Come on, Dave. Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Patel.
Yes.
Ms. Kolkowski.
Yes.
All right.
Because we're stopping reach alert, are we going to consider the ad that was proposed? That'll be in admin.
If you have it, can you email it?
It's
The,
all in the folder.
Yeah,
where's it under?
Oh, you're talking about his ad, his proposal?
Mhm.
Oh,
I can scan it in
yeah.
and, okay, that was, I forgot to do that, so,
Okay.
yeah, because we were supposed to send it to all the council.
it's there,
I knew there was
I read
something that I was
I read
missing.
it a few times.
but we are also considering.
Yeah, a different. Anything else for Stephanie? Any other actual items that should be said? All right. Administrator. Earl.
The only thing coming up is let's pick up, last weekend of the month, week of the month. We just Finished up cleaning up the cemetery, we cleaned up the cemetery today. We got a little stuff down there, so we got all that done.
You do any brush out there?
We didn't do it, no, we just moved some stuff around.
I drove through the other day and I noticed there was a lot
Yeah, we're
of
gonna-
town limbs.
We're gonna go out there this week and get it ready to, cause that's, if we're gonna do brush pickup, I'm gonna do this one. Moving all of it, so that's what we're trying to do. We did pick up a few while we were picking up all the. Got it taken care of.
If anybody saw his report for the streets, I know we had talked about Public Works, assortment of potholes. He did do, Silver Street one, Washington Township, Brookline, Mill Street, and then Walnut Street. Of course, we already talked about the Taylor Street one we did before, so if anybody sees anything else.
There is one more that I did miss, but I'm gonna get it this week. It's on 301 Main Street down there. I caught it the other day when we were out doing them, and I had already took out the whole bag of truck and I didn't. So, that stuff. I think that's all I drove around and tried to find everything that I could possibly find.
Sure, they'll show up when you're all done 2-3 times, so.
If you had any more thoughts on what to do down there on Silver Street when the truck's coming out of Crescent?
Silver and Oak mean turn radius.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if it looked into any more thoughts of or up again.
If you widen it, they're just gonna go wider. And that's a pretty back no matter where you widen it. They wider always. They go along that section, just filling in everything that we can fill in. I mean, I got enough hole patch that I could go through there and fill in the holes that are there now.
Well, coming off of the radius of the turn, and they're going into the yard anyway, so.
Yeah.
So we just let it happen.
Well, I don't know what else to do. I mean, besides digging it out and increasing the road by a couple feet.
That would be a good suggestion. I'd be all for that.
We'll take it to Public Works, see what they can do. That's doing that whole patch is not gonna do.
No.
I mean, we have to dig out and we'll just take it to Public Works and see what they say. Anything else?
No.
Okay, code zoning.
March 3rd, I signed the permit for the accessory building that was approved by the BZA on Sand Ridge. March 5th, I sent an email to Paul Scaff regarding the variance request for Oak Street. March 6th, I sent Paul some pictures of the shed at 13250 Maple Street at his request. March 7th, I received an email from Paul responding to the 2310 Oak Street variance request. And I forwarded it to the mayor. And then I also report the opinion. Basically was that we should not, cannot give them a variance to use the building as an office space in a residential unit, residential district, and he said that they could seek rezoning. So I called President, let them know what the attorney said. They were not thrilled. I don't know what they want to do, but they are expecting a response letter from the Board of Zoning Appeals on exactly what. So I gave her the information verbally. She said, am I going to get something? So you are.
Okay.
I thought that their request was not to have it rezoned anyway.
They did not want it. But Paul said they're not to give them a variance to use it as an office space. Then on March 10th, I talked to the owners of both sides of the east end of Brook Lane regarding the possible extension of right-of-way pavement and utilities. I advised them on the upcoming Public Works meeting and suggested they might want to attend that, just to hear what there might happen. Property owner on the north side of the road said he's not interested in losing any of his land. So, got that to deal with. Also, I did notice in the road there, Brooke at very east end and specifically on the north side of pavement. I want to say it's because of a trash truck, but I can't prove it, but boy, there's big butts. And I think it's a combination of, just like we had on Brown, where we had a poor job of asphalt going down, probably had that, and then in combination with that and the fact that he uses a dumpster, so he can get a lot heavier truck going down there because it's trash. He doesn't have this at all. So I don't know about that. I received a call from a resident regarding a letter on their chicken coop. He questioned why a chicken run would not have a roof and walls on it. This is because it's not in the code. You can have, that would make it a shed. And in my eyes, if it's got a roof without walls, it's a shed. And he just wanted to know why he couldn't have that for his chickens. I said, as part of having the chickens, you can have a fenced in area with a fence over the top, and I'm good. But because of that, so I said it was never addressed in the ordinance for what exactly a chicken run slash chicken coop, chicken coop, what a chicken run looks like. So he asked me to ask you guys your thoughts.
Chicken runs I've seen don't have a roof on them, or
You referring to,
I've seen netting.
referring to the Silver Street?
Pardon?
Is that referring to the Silver Street?
Yeah, I've seen them with, fencing over the top to keep critters out, but never roof.
whatever siding.
Yeah, that would be like a shed.
That's
It seems like a.
keeping your chickens in the dark.
Right, 'cause
The
yeah.
coop is in a shed, then he extended fence, but over on the north side and part of the west side, it's solid wood fence. And then he's putting up a framed roof, but he only tarped it. But it's probably a 12-foot high roof.
Oh.
Oh,
Those are some big chickens.
It might be 10 foot. Okay, I don't-
The shed's only an 8-foot shed though.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
It might
it's
be
like
10
a
foot,
coop
but it's
with
still
a
pretty good size.
Sorry for.
had a temporary structure then?
I would call it an extension of the shed, is what I guess.
Mhm. And are they not allowed to use types for roofs on sheds?
Not designed for it, but
Yeah.
Do we have to move that to committee then?
I'm gonna move it to a committee, but I'm gonna,
the one boot committee.
we're gonna have a conversation.
Oh, is that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
Info.
Yeah,
Okay.
we discussed that aspect.
Yep.
On March 17th, then I sent an email to property owner of the property on the east side of Silver Street, at the east side end of Mondale Trailer Park, the dirt area, grass area. He's seeking a rezoning of the property to commercial with the intent, according to paperwork he turned in, of placing 40 what he called ocean containers on railroad ties, which I take it to be the industrialized storage units.
Like a convex trailer.
And
Convex trailer.
on railroad ties, but have 40 of them over there. He wants to rezone it to commercial, because you can't do that in that's zoned residential. So he can't do it there, or even if it's zoned mobile home, he can't do it there. So that's what he needs to do. Problem is, I informed him that we needed a clearer vision of what exactly his rezoning was and the use of the property would be, as well as I told him we need a property survey and a drawing to be included as part of the application. And until we get that, we're not really even gonna address it in the meeting from a plan standpoint. So I'm waiting now I just sent him the email today, waiting on a response from that. I do have an issue though with our zoning code. If he zones it commercial, I know across the street, down the street, we've got commercial areas and we've got storage units. I defy someone to show me in the zoning book where you can do that. So that's one issue. The second issue is in our zoning code, I gotta believe when they wrote it, they were just thinking of Main Street. Not thinking of Center Street. Not thinking of anywhere else. Because there is no front yard setback.
I was just gonna ask about that.
So you can put it right up to the right of way line. And there's no side yard setback in a commercial zone. So you put it right up to the property lines, even if you're abutting residential. The only setback is 15 feet off the rear line. And then pretty much go where you want to.
If it was zoned commercial. I mean, right now it's not currently zoned commercial.
Right now it's zoned, depending on what you look at, I can look at that map and say it's zoned multiple, the
R2.
the mobile home lot. But I also know that I've looked at an ordinance that when that was zoned, it exclusively left off that strip on the east side of Silver. So therefore, the only thing it would have been everything south of the railroad tracks was a residential. So an extension of that same line would have made it residential going up along the railroad tracks.
And you're referring to this portion right here, which is hardly any real estate at all.
90 feet east and west by about 700 feet. He originally told me he wanted to put 10 living units in. I said, well, you can't. You got one lot. You can only have one residential living unit on there. And then he was going to hire a surveyor and split those lots. I said, well, that's good, but now you got to have at least 5,000 square feet for each lot. And then that means you're only going to get 5 lots on there. So he scratched that idea and now he's going with his commercial venture.
What is he gonna use?
Pardon?
What is he gonna use the containers for?
He's gonna run them.
He's gonna do storage units?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I also have a problem with, this is the same person that doesn't know how to mow their grass. Repeated offender.
Yes.
So you put these containers in, there you go.
But he has to go through the planning commission first. The only way a rezone happened is go to planning commission, which I think we screwed up on one area. But it goes through the planning commission first. They hold their public hearing and a meeting. Then they send a recommendation from council. The recommendation can be yep or no. Council does not have to accept whatever is recommended to them. Council then, though, I believe unless there's an emergency clause somewhere along the line, has to meet 3 meetings, with the last one being a public hearing. And then even after that, you got 30 days for it without the emergency clause. So it's, 3-4 months out before anything can happen. But that's the order that it would have to play into.
So you went from doing small houses,
Any size house.
right, small houses to containers that once we commercialize it, if that's what happens, it opens up the scope of whatever they want to do.
Commercial is commercial.
But they cannot have they cannot reside on a commercial.
Right. Yes. And the other thing is that with his idea of setting them on railroad ties, I'm contacting the building inspector to see if they need a foundation for them. I know that the building inspector does require foundation for a 200 square foot building. These I would think are what?
They're
Maybe.
40 by,
See, so they're not 40 by 50.
they'd be 40 by, yeah, they're not 40 by 50. No.
So if they're not too,
And at the most.
they might not need a concrete or even a footer. I don't know, but that's what I'm calling the building inspector on.
I think those ones on 25 don't, are just sitting right on stone. There's some that are.
Yeah, so
way-
a lot of them just set them on a
they're
stone
just sitting
base.
on a stone base. Yeah. That's, there's some down.
Some of those are not permanent.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
Some
don't
of
think
those are
those are
not permanent.
permanent, are
They're
they?
just temporary because they rent them and sell them.
Right.
So I don't know if that makes a difference on.
Probably gonna move them down here.
Well, that's where all the first solar panels are at for our solar farm is out there.
Right. So
All right, well,
but
we'll
anyway, that's coming.
bring it back to,
Just keep
Committee.
raising them.
anything else for Mr. Taylor? Committees.
I said, thank you.
Committees, we have one of two, we're gonna present on two Park and Recs committees. From,
The first one on 3/5. A meeting was started with Rick swearing Howard Lashaway in as a board member. Doug motioned to keep Christine as secretary, and it was seconded by Howard. It was unanimously approved. Ron then motioned for Doug to be the chair, which was seconded by Howard, which was unanimously approved. So they have their positions. And Ron expressed that he would like to create an inventory list of assets to make it easier to know who has what item and when they have it, kind of like a checkout thing. Doug states he would like for the board to use a pen and paper ledger to track finances and expenses, so then he can easier access for him to see how much they have left in each project. Doug and Ron presented a list of projects they wanted to tackle as a board, including restoring power to the shelter house at Schoolhouse Park, touching up paint at various places, adding, repairing various items like grills and benches, and different repair stuff like that. I informed the board that the council is currently discussing adding railing to the bleachers, because that's something that they should be aware of. Event planning was briefly discussed. The board is going to focus on the Fall Fest and look at adding another big event this year. Christine was tasked with looking at previous year's events and seeing which were successful to be redone for this year. The board members agreed to come up with a draft of a calendar. If there were events that they decide they can't do, then they'll present them to the library to see if they want to host them. The finer details of the donation policy were discussed to make sure they are taken into account, because there was concern about that. Doug expressed interest in advertising events in different ways, like using the school newsletter. Shelley Meyerholtz asked if there was handicap play equipment at any of the parks. The board discussed using a grant in the future to provide that. Ron suggested putting the recycling dumpsters in a fenced area of some sort to keep it better contained, because the wind blows the stuff around right now. And I asked the board their opinion on the liaison position. Majority of the board stated they were of the opinion that the board should themselves present to council the reports and that the liaison position is currently a matter of convenience. Christine stated that she likes having the position since she does not currently attend village council meetings. She's a township member. I realized I skipped the attendance. In attendance was Rick, myself, Rob Meyerholtz, Howard Lashway, Shelley Meyerholtz, Doug Marion, and Ron Dallas. Actionable items for council from this one was discuss and decide if we can move the light pole at Schoolhouse Park closer to the parking lot. And then their next meeting was March 12th. So they want to move the light pole at Schoolhouse Park closer to the parking lot to open up the space to make it easier to move things around and add things. I believe they talk about it again the next one. I just don't know if I included in the agenda under action items. Want me to just do the next one and we can discuss everything? Okay, the meeting from 3/12. In attendance was Doug Marion, Ron Dallas, Howard Lashway, Christine Long, myself, and Harold Boggs. Mr. Dallas would like the board to start researching the possibility of a shelter house at Alumni Park. And the board would like to review the addition of handicap accessible equipment at least 2 parks using that grant that they talked about before. Mr. Marion brought up at Seco Serves Day and what projects they should have the students do, including pulling the staples from the shelter house over at Michael Merrill, pressure washing different play equipment, raking dirt in over at the schoolhouse park, and sign repair at Merrill Park. Mr. Dallas asked Mr. Boggs what maintenance he has to constantly perform, and Harold stated that he had to fix instances of vandalism more often than the equipment breaking naturally. There was quite a bit of a discussion on different things that they've seen vandalized throughout the parks and how much of Harold's time it takes up and how much of the budget it actually takes up compared to like the stuff just naturally breaking down. The board is setting June 7th as a date for a volunteer day this year. October 18th for Fall Fest, October 25th for Monster Mash and trick or treating. The board is working in conjunction with the Business Council to do a farmer's market in July, August, and September. Mr. Dallas noted that the apartments near the schoolhouse park use the park's parking lot and requested Harold to put up new parking signs that are like park use only, something like that in the parking lot. Mrs. Long will create a list of smaller events to propose to the library. She's still working on it. And then actual items for this one, we're asked if the grant writer can look into finding a grant for a shelter house and look into the Wood County play grant for handicap play equipment. The board would like council to start researching outdoor refreshment areas, DORA. Board would like to know when the mulch will be put in at the parks. We still don't have an answer for that. And
We do.
First.
that was the hope, but we don't know if it's gonna happen sooner. That's
Yeah,
what she
but-
said.
It's like-
They wanted to do a bunch of their stuff before that went in. The board would like the recycling dumpsters moved to the lot across from the grain silos so they can be monitored more with cameras. They would also like to see more recycling dumpsters added to the program. And board would like to move the normal meeting time to the first Wednesday of the month at 5:30 PM.
Well, we're gonna take care of a couple things. We already talked about the mulch. We can only go by what they have, what they gave Stephanie. So you can relay that back, or I know Ron's on the thing.
Yeah.
I did have a conversation with Stephanie about moving the recycling. That is, the conversation's in the works.
They are all council has to do is approve it and then I let them know the location. So there's nothing all crazy that has to go down with all that. So
Well, we can probably take care of that right now if that's any further action. Anybody want to talk about that? Relocating the dumpsters to the stone lot back here?
Where are you gonna locate it on the property itself?
What are those 2 big box things right now?
Those are the leaf boxes for the,
Leaf box and the brush cars.
Where's the best place on the property for those recycle? So that you can see them.
probably the northwest corner.
See them, access them, the dumpster can access them with
If we put
their
them- if we put
overhead.
them, like this way along on that,
On Taylor Street?
on that side over there by, so it's running like parallel with Taylor Street. So then that way they're, that way when the wind does blow, they don't pop the lids open type thing. And, we can let some surveillance up on that telephone pole that's right there in the middle of the parking lot to point in that direction.
Didn't you use the maintenance building though, where you already have Wi-Fi directly?
that Wi-Fi is horrible.
Yeah.
It doesn't
It
reach.
reaches, I
think it's 'cause of the building.
And just barely reaches the time clock, let alone anywhere else in there.
Shouldn't cost that much to figure out how you get better Wi-Fi, that's for sure.
Who we get our Wi-Fi from?
Spectrum.
Is it their Wi-Fi?
They have a booster that,
Yeah, but they also have a booster in there. I think sometimes the metal buildings.
Yep.
do something to that, to the Wi-Fi that,
Brick in that building does not let that Wi-Fi go very far.
I motion to move the dumpsters to the stone lot behind the library, the recycling dumpsters.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to move this. Are they going to handle that?
they're gonna communicate with Rumpke on
I wondered who actually
Is that
does
one
our
of the
recycle bins? Rumpke?
The whole
Rumpke.
area is-
And it's all through this program is through the county, so that's why we have to get, their approval for everything. And then I know one of the other things on there was adding a dumpster. We've asked for years and it depends on their funding. And even if they were to add a dumpster, we're always gonna need another one and then another one and then another one. That's how we started with two. And it just keeps, people have to learn how to break down their boxes. That's the biggest thing out there I've noticed is the boxes aren't being broken down. They're just being put in and that's what takes up a lot of space. And
Is
that's
there
why they
any
fill so quick.
space over by the buildings by the reservoir? So we're not taking the semi-parking for the people that,
If we put them far enough that way, they won't be in the way of this.
Yeah, they'll be almost in the grass.
Yeah, they'll be like right over by path where we have all our stuff lined up along the railroad tracks. They'll be.
You'll just have to put some type of signing, no parking, no semi-parking
Yeah.
beyond this point. There's still plenty of parking spots for that right there.
How many semis do you currently have parking down there anyway?
At any given time, 2 or 3,
Yeah.
I know I've seen,
just trailer wise too, but
Yeah, it's only been trailers lately down there. I haven't seen any.
and it's not there for an extended period
Yeah,
either.
no, usually day or two if that. Most of them.
so we had a motion, we did this discussion, we had a motion on the floor from,
I wanna,
Yeah.
I wanna look at what Jessica just suggested.
I don't like that idea over by the reservoir. I don't want the stuff blowing in the fire station parking lot and then going in the reservoir and
In the reservoir.
in the ditch. I don't,
We got too many
it's a good
people that
idea.
Go back there behind the building and tear it up back there anyway, so.
Yeah.
I didn't know how the stone drive was or anything.
Yeah, it's not a very good idea to promote people from going back there.
Yeah. We've got too
I mean, to the, through the stone and all that. It's
Like
not,
it being out in vision of everything,
Middle of town.
which is kind of the opposite, I guess, of what you want to see, but
It'll be over where you guys do the chicken barbecue stuff too, right?
it could be over there, but no, I don't want it over there.
No,
I mean, not because of that. It's just,
I was just thinking like
no, I
a
mean,
gusty wind and
no, I don't think it has anything to do with it. I just don't think of it promoting it over there in the driveway because there's only one way in. And they have to turn around and they'll be in the grass and everything else. I just don't think it's a good idea. That's my opinion, but
Stone lot has a good way in and out. And it's in the middle of everything, easily accessible by everybody, because everybody's easily accessible downtown.
Yeah, well, but I want better cameras and Wi-Fi on the building in order to monitor it.
I mean, Stephanie
at the end of
go
the,
out her back porch and yell at him with her.
at the end of the day, we don't have that down there anyway.
I was gonna
so
say
it's not gonna help
the
it.
monitoring thing, even up here, there was a while back where someone's dog got hit and they asked us to look back at the cameras. It's not the easiest thing. We don't have, yes, we have monitoring, but there's nobody monitoring. So to go back and look, it could take someone's whole day, me perhaps, whole day or more to try and find, when there was an issue, who the issue was.
There's no way on a timeline, a day basis or whatever that you can just go to.
Yeah, but you're still watching
No, I understand.
however long
surveillance.
until you find something and not a lot of times is,
Motion activated would be so that you don't have
Yeah.
downtime that you're watching.
Yes, those help. And,
Or-
and a lot of the monitoring only goes back so far, even with your subscription like we have here, it only goes back 14 days. So
I feel like it's open there. You can see, I can see it.
the library has cameras on it facing all sorts of directions. So I don't know how good their feed is, but there is an opportunity too. There's one right on their back door. I think they look like 360 cameras that probably have a good view of the parking lot too, if we ever needed to record request
At the end of the
camera
day,
footage.
Forgot about that.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I mean, we still own that building, the mains building. We can hard camera wire anything out there. Once it's out there, it's fine. We just gotta get bigger cameras. But either way you go, we don't have the monitoring at the school property anyway. So,
Well, he did for a while.
well, trail cam.
yeah, it was a motion
that's what it
sensor
was.
trail cam, yeah.
So, all right, we had a motion to move them over there at the stone parking lot.
Erica
Bye.
was second.
Yep. Mrs. Rupp,
Yes.
Mr. Miles,
No.
Miss Sister,
Yes.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes.
Okay, we have a 4-1. To pass. Okay, so that was that one. We didn't address the mulch. Stephanie, you have any conflicts with the Wednesday movement of the meetings?
Nope, I already got it set up on the calendar, so they're all set.
And then ask for the grant writer to look for who's gonna head up that.
I already reached out to her to see if she's gonna work on a list. On that, I did want to make a comment. I know, the community development was looking at that T-Mobile grant for bathrooms. When I did reach out to Christy, that was a quick response from her, was the T-Mobile grant. So maybe something, if you're still looking at the bathroom idea with the shelter house, the whole bus garage that we're still the insurance is still waiting on council's decision on what we are exactly doing with that, so that they can issue the check for the roof or a check for the cash out, so.
We'll get a number
So do
on
we
that.
need to like put that in action somewhere?
That's in public works.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's in
That's
public
gonna be,
works.
Not discuss that.
well, I mean, it was a.
I think the last it was, I think that was when that roof, when the
Getting another.
adjuster was looking at it,
It
right?
was a $14,500 cash payout.
That was the leaf vac.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so this,
Something.
What's the
Yeah.
building? 17 or? Have we heard?
they only did the roof quote. The building itself, I think that's what they're waiting on is our
I was gonna
decision.
say, I was under, I could be wrong, but I was under the impression they took away our option. So do we still have the option to cash out or do a roof? I thought they took it away.
They were waiting for us to make that decision. That's why I don't think we heard a number. Am I correct?
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
So I'll find out. I have that for the public works meeting next week.
Okay, then we have conversation on the door. Do we want to move that? Cause that's down in the miscellaneous business. We'll move that over to miscellaneous business. Is that okay with everybody? And then that took care of this page. Then we can go back to the actual item on the other one. The poll.
Big poll.
We can get with Harold and find out if we get Edison. I mean, I don't think it's a high priority for Edison since how they haven't got our quotes for our poles with lights, but I mean, we can call, see what it's gonna cost. I know it's not cheap, move $700-800
Yeah.
pole.
Does anybody by chance know if the lights on those poles work
You referring to that
at
Who Park?
Schoolhouse Park?
Don't know. I could look tonight when
It
I,
doesn't look like it at all.
Which was the one in the middle park?
Yeah.
Yeah, they both work.
Okay,
They got the LED lights up there.
they just looked ancient, that's all.
No, they're new. Those are new LEDs up there.
Okay. Thank you.
okay. You tackle that quote for the pole movement. Some
You
park,
have a good idea where you're gonna move that to?
They want it closest to the driveway or to the parking lot. I think they just wanted it straight from where it's at. Next to the edge of the parking lot is what they were saying.
it's in the middle of the yard
And
Mhm.
or closely.
Yeah, I know where it's at.
The only thing is that being, they'll move the pole and then we'll have to probably put a bigger and stronger mast on our shed or building, so. Because the stretch of the lay is gonna be too long, too great, so it's gonna have to be a taller mast. And just bring it back to Public Works and figure out what's gonna cost and anything's modified like that, we'll have to get approval on anyway, so. Cemetery, 3-6 and 3-12.
I don't have the 3-12. It wasn't there, but you can kind of, with that. Okay, so 3-6 started at 6 p.m. and attendance was Jody, Diane, Dawn, Robin, Harold, Jessica, Brittany, and myself. Minutes were approved from last month's meeting. Jessica talked to Bob Clark from Grand Rapids Legion about the Memorial Day ceremony, I almost said cemetery. The board and the volunteers would like to speak to him about a plan. It was also brought up to talk to the Grand Rapids Auxiliary to help with the ceremony. Jim Grimes has the flagpole holders for the Memorial Day ceremony. Jody asked Harold about checking the electric in the cemetery to make sure everything was good to go for speakers. Board talked about having a subcommittee for cemetery events. The cemetery currently has 4 events just this year. Harold heard back from Rowe about the quote with the stumps. To remove 6 stumps would cost $715, and the basswood would cost alone $450, with an additional $150 to grind the stump. This was tabled until next meeting. The basswood was.
The whole thing.
The whole thing, okay. When the weather breaks, Harold plans to fill and plant grass on the graves. I need to fix that. It says
Gases.
gases.
I wondered what you meant.
And I went through this thing like a million times too. I'm sorry. On the graves, Robin was curious to know about the removal of the wreaths. Joe had mentioned in the past meeting, there is a removal program with wreaths across America. Harold temporarily fixed the cemetery signs with the 3-1 cleanup and other rules that are on the sign. No update on the America 250 grant. Stephanie filled paperwork out for the Army M5 anti-tank gun. Harold and Jody will find spots to weld and fill some areas with concrete for the anti-tank gun. I still wasn't clear on that. Is that right? Because they were talking back and forth. I was like, well, what? Cemetery cleanup is scheduled for 5/3, 9 to noon. Jody contacted Debbie Vollmer with Modern Woman if she's planning on participating again this year for the cleanup. Cemetery liaison. The board is 50/50. Reports can come from Jody and would like to keep their liaison, but only as needed. The board agreed they did not need one for every meeting, but like to have advice and questions answered during the meetings. They could contact their liaison to either come in person or on the phone. The board did not make a decision on the subject at this time, and the liaison plans to come to the next meeting. The meeting adjourned at 7:23 p.m. Actionable items, the board approved the computer quote of $412.07. The board set a special meeting for 3/12 at 5:30 to meet with Bob Clark and volunteers about Memorial Day ceremony. Debbie Vollmer plans to come to the next meeting in April to discuss Modern Woman's part in the cemetery cleanup. April's meeting is rescheduled for April 1st at 6 p.m. Was that their original day or did they?
No, I think that it was, the Thursday after, but then she said
Okay,
one of the board members couldn't make it or
okay,
it just didn't work, so they moved it to the first.
okay.
And then as far as the meeting on 3/12, there was no minutes drawn up on that one. Do you want to
Right.
elaborate on anything?
Jody was there, Jody, all of the board was there, Harold was there. We had a couple representatives from the Grand Rapids Auxiliary. And then Grand Rapids Legion, Bob Clark. Deb Ballmer was also there. So basically everybody that's supposed to be volunteering and helping set up. The main gist of it is that Bob Clark's handling most of it. And he's gonna communicate with Harold as far as what needs set up. They did talk about flyers. I don't know who's gonna do those. And they talked about, because they were talking about how to get the word out. I told them that we did get it in our newsletter, printed and digital. They were excited about that. And then signs, we've talked about, like the ball sign up ones, things that we do annually. We have, and we asked if they would want those printed and something that says Memorial Day ceremony at the cemetery so that people know it's happening. And there were a couple different options for financing they're gonna work through. The cemetery didn't want to finance it. Deb Vollmer said maybe Modern Woodman could. So I don't know. I'm working through that, so.
Anything that you took away from
They
it?
said that they was planning on doing it at 3 o'clock. That's what I heard, I mean, that they're.
3 o'clock day up, right?
So you're gonna be tasked to see if we have plenty of power out there?
Yeah, there's power to the pole out there, so all we're gonna do is make sure everything works and run an extension cord over to set everything up, and I gotta talk with Bob to figure out where everything's gonna be set up at, so.
Good.
Cause I've never done this before, so I don't know how they used to do it, so that's why I wanna make sure that I get everything put where it's supposed to.
Jody knows where the tent goes, but it will require our 10x10 tent, our podium, chairs, our speaker system.
Okay.
Chairs?
Mhm.
We don't have chairs.
Said we have chairs.
Well, we only need 10, like what, 10 chairs? Or they said they only need like 10 chairs, so
Mhm.
we can find some chairs somewhere.
I know where some chairs are at.
I was gonna say.
I got about 5 holding that I can.
I got about 500, so. Okay, so the anti-tank gun, where are we at on that?
You just have to sign the forms and then I
Okay.
send them off.
And then they've already got the concrete and the welding portions of it done to meet that requirement?
No, we're gonna do the concrete this week, fill the tube in, and then I think Jerry's son's work has a portable welder.
Yes.
We have to get a portable welder over here to weld the joints that need to be welded on it. And I could only find 3 on there. There was already a couple that were already done. So we just gotta get the other ones that need to be welded.
And then regarding the stump grinding quote, that's still on the cemetery. We don't have to do nothing with that?
Right.
Okay, so that's on them. Anything else for the cemetery? Administrative process.
In attendance, Jessica Sousa, Rob Meyerholtz, Craig Warner, Stephanie Montz, Rick Easterwood, Paul Scaff, Doug Marion, Ron Dallas, Howard Lashway, Jeremy Schroeder, and Brittany Kolakowski. Spoke with Paul Scaff about the Weston Sports Initiative transfer process and the suggested documentation. Paul is reviewing the drafted facility use agreement. He suggested the Sports Initiative articles be amended and is recommending a resolution to be passed at the funds depletion for official transfer of equipment. Regarding the utilities for the ball fields and the concession stand, council is recommending that the sports initiative remain responsible for the utilities for the remainder of the year 2025 as planned, with the village taking over the payments after that. It is also being suggested that the village pay for the porta pots at the ball fields as a part of our park system, starting with the 2025 season. On the topic of board liaisons, the committee is offering a couple options for council to consider when voting. Options include no change at all to the current system, or the board gets to choose, or keep the same system we currently have, but add flexibility for scheduling and which agreements can be made between the boards and the liaisons themselves. Jeremy Schroeder gave a presentation for an open source app option through OJ Tech as a potential option for the village in the future, like as a mobile app. And discussing job descriptions and wage schedules, the committee will continue to review potential systems for employee evaluations and expansion in the future. For the upcoming spring mowing season, the committee is recommending hiring one additional temporary seasonal position at the current pay standards. The committee will revisit the topic of hiring throughout the season to assess the village's needs accurately for future decisions. An insurance check came in and is specified for replacement of the broken leaf back at $14,500 with an option for additional $3,000 if the actual cost of a replacement exceeds the $14,500. The administrator is currently looking for options and will report the findings at the Public Works Committee meeting. Actionable items. We need to amend the baseball softball program fund revenue to zero and amend appropriations for the remaining fund balance. We need to amend appropriations in Parks and Rec for the porta pots. And we need to draft a resolution for equipment transfer to the sports initiative so that it's ready when the time comes. Vote on liaisons and vote on hiring one additional seasonal worker to be utilized through the end of the fall busy season.
Any other conversations? Because I do believe we have the amendments part of the new business, so.
The only thing I would say is to approve the revenue to zero. And then the other two are on the agenda.
Okay. Any other conversations about what all transpired in the administrative process? Because I think we're going to go into the liaison portion of it that we started talking about on the whole business. So we can go back to what Stephanie put down in her fiscal officer report. The pros and cons, I'm not gonna say go through it all, but I mean, we all got literature on the pros and cons, and is there anything additional for pros and cons that's not on here that we haven't already discussed? I know that there is conversation on part-time or getting rid of it, still keeping it, and flexible. Am I correct on that so far?
Not getting rid of it, but letting the board decide
Let the
whether
board
they want
decide,
it or not.
That anything else for conversation on that? 'Cause we, like you said, we have 50-50. There is, and this is only referring to the boards, which is referred to the cemetery board and the park and rec. So let's open a discussion up for that, because it's not my decision. This was your guys' decision, so.
I'd still recommend that the boards determine whether they want it or not. Their decision. The other thing that I can bring up that I think could become a concern is the fact that with the summaries that we're doing here from the liaisons currently, and the fact that they also have minutes that they must approve. If the liaison's taken the minutes and the summary is considered as minutes, like I just heard tonight, then those minutes aren't approved at the time that they're presented to council.
They take their own minutes. It's a separate document.
Yeah, he's saying they don't know what we're going to read before we
Mm.
read it here and present it to the community.
I did at the last Parks and Rec meeting, make sure that I told them what I was presenting to make sure that I had their points of view and everything that they wanted me to bring. I try to make that a point.
And I'm just saying it gets into a gray area.
When
It is both public information.
it comes to the boards, obviously, I was part of the Park and Rec thing and they had no problem taking their own minutes and then coming to council and presenting the minutes. What about cemetery? They don't want, are they gonna,
They
do
don't
not
want to
want to
come
be-
to a council
but they
meeting.
gonna be willing to present a document to us?
Only when they need something. They're not gonna come every time.
They're gonna send the document to the liaison. And have the liaison present it. I do like in Stephanie's report, the best practices for a council liaison role. I think it addresses some of the cons, and the risks that are associated, kind of like what you're talking about. At least when I started council, we didn't get anything like that. We were just assigned a liaison and you're supposed to kind of figure out what you're supposed to do. I think that's a really good guideline to protect us and them, protect everyone involved, policy wise. I'd actually like to see that written up into some sort of policy for us and used as a training material, or at least a starting point for a training material for liaisons. That would be my suggestion. And I like the use of liaisons as a checks and balance. Because just as the liaison can influence, having no influence there, we don't really know what's being said, what's being done. At least when you have both parties in the room, you have some oversight, not to influence, but just different perspectives on what because we've all been in this situation where having a conversation, you hear things differently, same sentences, but you hear them or take a different perspective on it. So I like the use of the liaison, but I'm okay with some flexibility if they need to make adjustments to get along and work together.
And the liaison individual who is the liaison is just, as far as I'm, recollecting, and is just there to answer any questions that may arise. It's the board's decision on the direction they want to go with on topics and conversation in that meeting. So
I feel the board should also be able to pick their liaison that they want to be able to have,
That's if they want one.
if they want one.
And we can, if this moves forward, we keep on going, that would be a conversation that we would have to have towards the end of the year for obviously, when it comes to newly elected people, may not have that, but they might have an idea we know the ballot, who's going to take office in November. So they'll know, hey, this person sounds like to be a good person. You know what I'm
I
saying?
was like, what do you mean we know the balance?
No, at the end of November, we'll know
Yes.
who's
Because
going to be on
sign up
council.
in August.
Yeah, we'll know who's going to be on council after the election. So, because obviously day one assignments are,
Right.
tallied out.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think we're 50-50 still on either one. My hang up with getting rid of the liaison is I don't want it to be a blame game that council's not looking and hearing what we're saying. They don't bring it to us. That's what happened before from different committees that they didn't thought we were not engaged enough. But now it sounds like some of us are maybe too engaged, because the board is now fulfilled and we have boards and I think the liaison should be definitely as needed, but as a individual that is in the back burner to ask the question, answer the
Right.
questions that may need to be
Right,
asked.
they should be a side piece, not
I agree with Rob's conversation with the minutes. I mean, and Brittany addressed she took the minutes and then she asked the rec board, this is what I'm going to present. Is this okay? And that seemed to be okay with me.
It wasn't just that particular time. I'm talking
No.
going forward.
Yeah, but it's also, we have Howard here that if he were to bring, something up here to, as part representative of the rec board or Ron Dallas or anybody, Doug Marion, they most definitely can add to the conversation in that portion of the meeting. So what do you guys want to do?
I would like to motion to keep our system, but add in the flexibility for the liaison to meet with the board and come up with a system that works for them. If it's a unique system, unique to them and their schedules, then so be it. But I'd like to add in the flexibility with the caveat that we use this best practices as our training for liaisons and our expectations of them going forward.
So
I
in
don't
all
think
those,
so.
and all that you just said,
Yeah,
I'm a little lost in it.
yeah, me too.
Are you saying let the boards choose or are
No,
you
she's
saying?
saying that liaisons stay on.
I got, okay.
Liaisons stay on no matter what. So the liaison.
Point
would
blank,
be-
that's just it. Cut it there.
The liaison would be the one reporting.
I just was clarifying because it was,
I was too.
The reason I say the flexibility, because the current system is you go every meeting that they're scheduled, no matter what. And you do the notes and you do the reporting. However, at the cemetery meeting, Ashley and Jody and the board discussed that they were okay with Jody sending her minutes to Ashley and Ashley reading them. So that would be a flexible element.
so it's more or less the board choosing.
They're
No,
not choosing whether to have a liaison. They will have a liaison no matter what. The liaison will be the one.
I got you, just whether they attend or not then?
Anybody can attend a public meeting. It's just whether or not they're required to attend as part of their.
Yeah.
Who's reporting it?
Yes.
What I, right?
Not looking for a big,
So Jody would have to report it.
yeah.
If you get rid of liaisons.
I'm for the board choosing, I guess, with the strict adherence to our pros of being a liaison. Just throwing it out there.
I mean, I don't mind doing it, but like I couldn't make that special meeting and there's no report on it.
I just want the minutes to be the minutes
Yeah,
I just-
and it should come from
without any grade.
their board, not
Right.
me just,
So there's like empty info.
yeah. I mean, I can still sit there and do what I'm doing, but I'm not sitting here taking 1,000 notes.
Sure.
Last Parks and Rec meeting, the board asked me to clarify at least 3 things from my access to council documents.
That's only because you were there.
If I was not there, they would have had to wait till this meeting, present their questions to us, and their decisions that they had made on based on things would have taken longer.
Mhm.
It wasn't I feel you should do this. It was, I have this stated on this document. Paul Scaff sent this in an email based on this for that type of situation. They asked me and got rapid responses at least 3 times the last meeting.
If you want a short motion, my motion then is to keep liaisons.
I understand that a lot better.
Me too.
We have a motion that keeps the liaison.
Yeah.
We have a second.
I second that motion.
Mrs. Rupp? Mr. Reynolds?
No,
Ms. Souter,
Yes.
Ms. Patel,
No.
Ms. Kukowski.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have an option to keep the liaison with the flexibility of the board?
I wouldn't put it as flexibility. I would put it, I'll make the motion that each board can have a liaison if they feel necessary.
We have a motion on the floor for the board making the decision if they want to keep the liaison or
If
not.
they need.
If they need one. By Mr. Miles, do we have a second?
Again,
Mrs. Rupp,
yes.
Mr. Miles,
Yes.
Ms. Souter?
I have a question.
Now's the time.
Have we asked Paul if we have to have a council representative at board meetings where they're discussing village?
Yeah, she said it last time.
Yeah,
We
They just
don't.
can't,
we don't.
they just
They're a
can't,
board. They're an independent board.
they just
Yeah.
can't, they have to, whatever they decide they want to spend or do, they have to bring it to us anyways. Just like no decisions can be made at any board meeting with the exception of cemetery because they're a
They have a levy.
levy, they go within their means. So if the rec board decided they wanted to put on a fall fest, which they're talking about, before anything would happen, they would have to come in and figure out who's paying for this, what coverage we need for that and everything.
They'd still have to do it if you had a liaison.
I know that, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if that portion would never change, it's just.
Yes.
Mrs. Patel,
Yes.
Mrs. Klikowski,
Yes.
all right. It'll be up to the board.
I would like to make a motion that we make a formal document detailing what a liaison's duties and responsibilities would be as per recommended by Jessica and Stephanie.
Again,
That's a lot. You take that.
I'm trying to.
I was typing and then I'm like, ugh.
What's that?
it's the list that you,
So in here, so
You're talking about
from
the
what
best
I'm
practices.
understanding is we want a policy for if they have a liaison, right?
What the liaison's supposed to
What
do.
they're supposed to do by using the suggestions in this best practices section, technically turning it into a policy, right?
And that will have to, if and when that does, that'll have to go administrative process. So,
So this is just a decision to take it to committee.
yes, I would believe so.
You want to amend that?
I said a motion to make a policy. Making a policy.
Okay. We still got a second, by you. Mrs. Rupp,
yes.
Mr. Miles,
Yes.
Ms. Souter,
Yes.
Mrs. Patel,
Yes.
Mrs. Klikowski.
Yes.
All right, we'll put that on the administrative processes agenda. Okay, is that so far everything that we needed to discuss in those various committees?
The resolution for the equipment transfer, I think,
Is
if I
zero.
remember right, Paul is
Right.
reviewing that document and then we'll put something together for us.
Different.
Mhm.
He's reviewing the
Facility agreement
agreement. This is the resolution that states,
is dependent on the facility agreement.
this is the one that says, all equipment is not fit for purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna vote on.
Well, Paul has to,
It's draft.
yeah, Paul has to put something.
But you
together.
said we needed to vote the program fund, the revenue to zero, right?
Yes,
That's
that's part of the
Okay.
agenda topics. Yeah, but yeah, we still have to vote because there isn't an actual spot for that.
Okay.
But just so we can record it.
We'll get that to new business portion of it. Just do the meetings. Okay. Okay.
Oh, and the seasonal worker. That was, that was the last bullet point on there.
Seasonal worker, we have somebody already picked out. Do you have anybody picked out or is that for the cemetery?
That's just for cemetery.
All right, because there was conversation that we needed to, we used to bring that to administrative process to finish that up, or
What, the hire?
the job description type thing, and
We voted an administrative process
so,
to recommend the one additional seasonal worker to be utilized through the end of the fall.
all right, so we need to do that here though, right? Or do we already have something on the books for a seasonal person?
Not a seasonal we have it for a maintenance worker, the pay.
Right, the temporary part.
Yeah, I think what came out of that meeting was that we're utilizing that description, but when we advertise for it, we're making it clear that it's just temporary. And then it'll be readdressed at the end of season.
All right, so we're going to move forward on that, so we'll need a motion to move forward.
Before we go to motion, as I was talking to Jessica before the meeting and also talking to you before the meeting, I have thought about that a little bit, and I would like to propose that we make that a permanent part-time position. The reason for that is I believe that we'll get more applicants or even better applicants from that standpoint. If you advertise it as seasonal, it really shortens up the people's decision on what they want to do. I can only use it as an example, as I was telling you, the example that I used and thought about after talking about it in administrative process was Stephanie. When we brought her in, she was part-time. Cheryl Halter at that time was asked to start passing some things on to her that she could learn, train, whatever. I don't believe that at that time was considered seasonal or annually or anything like that, but it was a permanent part-time position. And I just think that we're going to have a need for that permanent part-time position going forward.
We did discuss a permanent part-time in the administrative process meeting. I understand that you thought about it afterwards. But we did vote against it in the process meeting. So if we're going that route, I would at least like to wait till Craig's here.
Like, can you speak more on why you decided to only do you all voted yes for the seasonal title?
We don't actually vote in committee.
But we did decide.
We don't vote.
We decided on our recommendation
Yes.
and we decided that would be our recommendation. Mainly because of the current training structure and the structure that we are utilizing. Also questions about workload and accurate measurements of what we need. So the idea was that we would hire with the option to keep that part-time person on at the end of the fall if we still have the workload, if it's necessary, and if they're a good worker. But if they're not a good worker and we don't have the workload, then we also have the option, because it's a temporary position, to stop that position. If we don't do it as temporary, we don't have that option. And
Yes, we do. You're
What
on
I thought.
probation
I
for
was
70 days.
for 90 days, and that will not be in 90 days will be up before the end of October, beginning of November, which is, we've got.
That's gotta be plenty of
fall
time.
We have adult league, so we still have baseball going on. We still have fall stuff for the cemetery. The leaves are coming down. It's still very busy in the fall. So this will take them through October, maybe even into November. I believe we stopped first, second week of November last year. But that was the discussion at the meeting.
That's what I thought I remembered. It gave us the option of being able to change in the future. This took care of the immediate need with the option of being able to amend.
Right, yes.
Is this the position that is, the hours are limited?
Yeah.
No, that's cemetery.
Okay,
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I thought you meant
Just-
part-time.
okay, just checking.
It will be a part-time position, not a full-time position.
Yeah, the part-time description for that is
Yeah, I was
20
like-
hours.
Okay,
It's the same as what Gary is doing. He's 20 hours or approval no more than 40. Prior approval.
So if we decide to change the recommendation, I'd at least like to wait till Craig is present.
Yeah, I'd like to have more discussion about it because I actually believe that, as we also talked about earlier, is the fact that the dollar amount on the wage is kind of iffy too, very iffy.
All right,
And we've got,
we'll take it back to administrative process and for more clarification on stuff. I think that was it.
That was the last thing.
All right, upcoming meeting, community development and public affairs tomorrow at 5:30. For meeting time change for the regular scheduled meetings.
Oh, yeah, there was a email because I know last time, it sounded like it was just that meeting, but if you want to permanently change it,
Mhm.
have to amend the calendar, and if you want to just vote on that or just agree as a,
for what?
for the community development, regular meeting.
are you okay with 5:30 all the time?
Yeah, I thought last time that we had said in the meeting it was for all future meetings. I didn't.
I didn't
realize-
really know, so it doesn't make me any difference.
All right, you're gonna take care of that then? All right. Western Sports Initiative on, I think it's Thursday, right? Wednesday, 3/19 at 5:30. That's still here, or is that gonna be the library?
I believe it's still here.
Okay. Safety, 3/24 at 6 o'clock, at the safety building. Public Works, 3/25 at 6. And that's up here. And the April cemetery meeting was moved to April 1st at 6 PM. Okay, now we have new business. Okay. Back to this one here. This would be ordinance, for appropriation for the porta pots in the park. I think that's one's that. Where'd you put that in?
PP.
Sorry, I didn't want to spell it out.
I noticed.
I think where that one's at.
Let me be the other one. Yep, that's it.
Okay. This is ordinance making supplemental appropriation for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and this is for this is council has determined the ordinance 2024-20 permanent appropriations ordinance for the fiscal year ending in December 31st, 2025 shall amend to provide the cost of porta pots at the parks. Oh, that's a lot. So I need a motion to do that.
Nope.
Nope.
Just first reading.
First reading. Okay. Sweet.
We should be able to get through 3 readings before I need to amend it.
Is
Well,
that
yeah.
increase just due to inflation or why is it such a difference?
Because you have 2 handicaps plus the 2 that are being serviced by us for October or April to October plus a November.
It wasn't that way before though, or what?
Nope, it was the ball program paid for their porta pot out at the ball fields. So this is changing that Parks covers all of it, not separating it between programs.
Now I get it.
Because it's not involved anymore.
Okay, this would be first reading of ordinance 2025. I think we got a question mark on this thing.
Yep, I assigned the numbers after they passed.
And this is the 2024? You got 2024 appropriation. The permanent appropriation
Yep.
ordinance for the fiscal year ending December 31st shall amend to provide the expenditures of the softball program fund 2041. Okay, and this is for the amount of,
I was gonna say, I can add some extra information on there.
yeah, do that.
we discussed, this in administrative process. So we have to reduce the revenue to zero because we are not expecting any revenue. They are handling their own as they are transitioning to their 501c3. Need to submit that to the county, based on if we're okay with it being reduced to zero. I already had it certified. We just have to put it in the minutes for the auditors. That leaves us with $23,098.57 available for appropriation. So 23,098.57. So that means I had to take money away from them. If you can see on that ordinance, their previous appropriation, which is what they have now in those line items. I don't have the utilities listed on there because those aren't changing. Those are, the ones that, I don't have listed aren't changing. Leave off it. The current fund balance is 25,008, but it is not reliable for a reliable figure for determining this adjustment. Since I've never, had to reduce revenue before, UAN had to guide me through that. And that's how I came up with that 23,000 number, by playing around with, how that works.
Line items.
Yeah, because when I go, what I tried doing first was reducing the revenue, and it gave me a compliance error, which means you can't move forward because there's compliance error. So I asked them, I'm like, hey, it's giving me this. And they're like, oh, it's because you had an error with your revenue. And I'm like, no, we just aren't expecting revenue anymore. So I did that first, and they have a training mode and found out how much I need to reduce in the appropriations. So what I did was, based on them coming to our, previous meetings, it seems like they need more money in machinery, equipment, and furniture, because there's one purchase order that I haven't even made out yet because they don't have enough in that line item right now. For machinery.
Oh, just
30
in that line.
Yep, just in that line item. There was only 2,400 left. So what I am doing is, their previous appropriation was 5,000. I'm amending it to 10,000 in contractual, which typically their uniforms were coming out of that line item, and porta pots. That one went down to 5,000 from 75, since it probably will only be their uniforms, if however that works out. And then operating supplies, I bumped that one down to whatever amount was remaining in all that math. So I did have to take some away, but within those three line items, let's say 10,000 was too much in machinery, without approval, I can move within those three. So if they think, oh, we need more in operating supplies, I can take some from that. But this is just to amend and take away, if that makes sense.
Yeah, uniforms should only come up to about 3,000.
Yeah. So some of it's an overestimate, but and this is appropriating the rest of their money that they have. So.
Okay. That's the first reading I get from that one.
Proud of the fact it wasn't emergencies.
I mean, not yet. I mean, we could, but I don't think there's money there right now. I guess the only issue would be the machinery, equipment, and furniture, but even with the purchase orders they have out now, I feel like we could get through the three readings before I even get submitted anything. I don't know. Doesn't seem like they're in a rush to order anything right now. So.
The biggest positive to this whole thing is the fact that the monies that they are now collecting is theirs.
Yep. So yeah, if there isn't money for them and they do have money in their account, they should still be able to use that too.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if there's a holdup on our end,
Yeah.
they should hopefully have money coming in. So.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to approval and expenditures. Everybody had a chance to look over the bills?
So moving.
We have a motion on the floor to pay the bills. We have a second.
Second.
Removing the reach alert
Oh,
Because I do have
That's
that in
right,
there, but
reach
we've
out.
already voted on that, so I'll know to take it
Okay.
out, but I just wanted to make a point with this for video purposes, yes.
Okay. Pay the bills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Miscellaneous business, we have a new item for speaker for the safety and then the door conversation. Just so you know, we have 30 minutes. So throwing it out there. You just talk about the speaker for safety real quick.
I contacted Brian Richards. He's a detective for Wood County Sheriff's Office. And he does this program. I'm sorry, because I don't want to, they changed names on it like a couple months ago. So he does this program. It's like, if you're in a situation, like a active situation, it's like what you should do during that time. It goes like,
So like de-escalation?
yes.
Okay.
So it starts there and then towards the end, it shows you like if you're hurt, if someone you know is hurt, it gives you the like what you should do. They actually do like a tourniquet thing. And I think that would be very beneficial for the public, not just,
So you're wanting to bring it to the safety to see their opinion on if they want to schedule something for the public.
yes.
Okay,
So she wants to know if she can send it to committee.
yes. Yes.
No, council decides whether.
I mean, that's what I mean.
I mean, it's
We can
already,
take it to the safety. I
it's
mean,
already in committee. It's part of the safety training. Yeah, that's what I would schedule it under. Because we're looking at getting different training courses.
we can send it to the safety committee for discussion, can't we?
Council can send it.
He assigns it.
Huh?
The mayor assigns the committee.
No.
Yeah.
No, what goes to committee, council decides on.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. Do you want to send it to safety
I
committee?
motion to send it to safety committee,
Okay,
whatever.
that's what you asked. That's what you're asking.
Yeah, if it's all right for me to,
Yeah, that's up, I mean, if that's up, that's what you were asking, so. Do we have a first and a second?
Second.
All right,
Okay, whoever.
Rob. Mr. Meyerholtz,
Yes.
Ms. Susser.
Yeah.
All right, Mrs. Patel,
yes.
Mr. Kukowski.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about this door a second. We all got a PDF for the DORA regarding, scope of what we can do. The only thing I did not see on this was cost. Did anybody see any cost on this, or did I overlook it?
They probably won't have costs in that. It's just the revised code.
I've not seen an application cost at all. I've read it through a couple times and
All right, and then is this something we would have to get with our TEP insurance to find out if our rates are gonna change? Because I did look at some of this stuff. And like I said, I looked at it just a little bit before meeting started. And it's confusing on the sections and everything. But anyways, it's for like F1, it's a suffix F1, and it says A, it says specific boundaries of area, including streets and addresses, which you guys were talking initially downtown, which is fine. Number of spaces, obviously where we can go to, hours of operation, which we already kind of discussed, number of personnel needing to ensure public safety in this area.
That's also what I'm looking at.
Okay,
Cause they ask for, up here at the top. Oh, where was it? It was like you had to have, something set up to ensure public safety. And I'm wondering, cause it also says you had to have 2 establishments. If you're less than 50,000 population,
Mhm.
you had to have 2 establishments within the DORA. So we'd have to make the DORA span the entire downtown to do the 2 establishments that have alcohol. And I'm worried about the train tracks. Would they say that's against the safety thing?
No.
I think Perrysburg has
Perrysburg
train
has
tracks.
Do they have it? Do they have?
That's like right.
right. Just for the record, it's the same train.
Do they have,
Truth.
It's the same tracks.
do they have gates on their tracks?
Downtown, I don't know.
I don't think so.
They do not.
No.
Just a question mark.
A very
Good.
wide.
That was the one thing that was like, that they might yell at us.
A lot of traffic too.
That was the one thing I was like, they might yell at us for that, but if there's already, something that we can use as,
I think you have to, from what I
call it.
understand anyways, is like maintain area.
Yeah, it says sanitation.
Pretty specific, so they
Yeah.
can't like wander
See, that,
down the track or.
my hang up, and I don't know, because I don't, this is just my hang up is, and Mr. Miles had said you have to have a designated container. I get that, right? But who profits on the Dora? As far as we're encouraging to come with the horns and halos and the Porky's establishment to be in cahoots with the particular container. But we also have downtown apartments down there that anybody and everybody can walk through them. And we just encourage them to drink on the street without us monitoring them, right? I mean, who's going to facilitate the security or monitoring?
Well, just like Perrysburg and any of the other ones, it's your law enforcement that will take care of that.
Which they have them, they have their own. We have our sheriff's department and then,
We're contracted.
yeah, but we're going to have to increase our hours probably.
No,
Mhm.
Decrease.
I would
foot
decrease,
patrol,
I'd
whatever.
decrease patrol and when we're gonna have an event in that month and then have them here when they're going to.
It sounds to me just what you guys have already said. Safety, community development, and admin are all involved in this decision. It's just a matter of where you want it to start, what committee.
I think it's been talked about in various committees, but nothing, nothing been assigned to.
It's not been assigned.
I think it should start in community development. Get the general concept going and then be sent to other committees from there.
You making a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion on a community development.
We have a move the door to community development for further discussion. For a second.
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Rupp. Mr. Miles,
Yes.
Ms. Susser.
Yeah.
Mrs. Patel,
Yes.
Ms. Kukowski.
Yes.
All right, we're done with that. Sorry about that. Okay,
I know that we were talking money, like who would get it. I know BG, their chamber does it. Their council doesn't even take care of it.
Right.
So it's gonna,
But that, there is a difference. There is a big difference in
Yeah.
the population difference.
yeah.
So
okay. Anything else for council? If not, we're gonna move to the visitors. Yes, go ahead.
I have one more thing. I just thought about it. Is the power company supposed to notify the citizens?
You referring what power company? Edison?
Yeah,
Okay.
because we had that power surge again.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are just now recovering from last year's.
I think that was due
Hours.
to someone hitting a pole or something, if I remember reading right about it. I think it was an
that's what
accident, not a,
Okay, I was just curious on
I can assure you that
if they're gonna
the
notify.
issue we had before Edison was never a fault, but it always, they were stretching a line from Kellogg to
Mhm,
here, and they've now got that all done.
Okay.
And now they're going north
okay. So that was just.
on Taylor, west on Taylor, and then they're going back towards Custer. So they're gonna see the interruptions like we did.
Yeah.
Okay,
We should not get affected by anything unless it's an actual outage.
okay. I just wanted to make sure that way if I get confronted.
Well, I know you, there was conversation on social media about
Yeah.
that, and it was, they're gonna, in the same, realm of Edison lingo that we're not responsible, it's weather related, then
Yeah.
go moving that way.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Howard? Okay. Mr. Patel?
He's working.
Okay. Josh? All right, Mr. Dallas? Is everybody asleep? Yeah, okay, we have motion.
One taker.
Go ahead, Mr. Dowse.
Yeah, I'll do just a comment on the Dora thing. You can actually talk to the business owners and they can rope off a 10 by 10 area and regulate that if it's a concern that it's going to be exposed to the entire community. I've been in different situations and different events where they do that. They actually rope it off and maintain it in front of their buildings. And the sheriff, again, he can be rescheduled, I guess. He doesn't have to be here for the Sunday afternoons and things of that nature. So I think in a positive note that this would help events in the downtown area, both Porky's and even the market. I think they could extend their business to a patio and allow that with the food trucks and things of that nature. So
I don't think you have the proper license to do that because it has to be in the Dora cup. It can't just be a beer container. And I don't think you don't have a license to serve, correct?
That's where I was getting at with the, I know with the festival and everything, we have our own top flight security, so to speak. Our guys rolling around in there and it falls back. If somebody violated, it falls back to us. And the sheriff's department at that time could have shut us down because they're the ones that signed off on our liquor permit, the sheriff's office. And I don't know, it'd probably be affected with Horns and Halos or Porky's. They would have to probably.
If it's a Dora violation, it's a Dora violation.
Does the Dora violation come back to the council or does it come back to the owner of the establishment that they got?
The individual that did it.
Well, that's what we need to figure out because
It is.
When COVID happened, because I could have swore during COVID, council approved outside consumption from.
Well,
when-
we extended Porky's
when
to
you-
have the thing, but there was no
yeah.
alcohol allowed.
There was no.
No, it was just for eating. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I was
but during
like,
COVID, you can go to an establishment like a particular Mexican restaurant and get a to-go cup of margaritas as long as the straw wasn't in there.
you can still do that.
I know that.
I was like, I do that all the time. All I have to do is put.
I'm not saying that it happens, but I'm just saying it's a.
As long as you have your sticker.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Dowse?
no, thank you very much.
Anybody else? Jigger or Josh going once?
Hey, if
Uh-oh.
you got a couple, if
I'm
you got
here.
a couple minutes, I
Yes.
talked to one of the township trustees about the power surge. He said that they were tying in the new transmission lines.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure if it was an actual accident or who was misinformed, but that's what I heard from the township. I reached out to them first about that issue because it's on their land.
All right.
All right,
Anything else?
Thank you.
Yep.
Nope.
Okay.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Got a motion for adjourn second.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Adjourn.